Welcome to Robert Bellissimo at the Movies, where we explore all things cinema. I want to welcome back to the show Michael Guillon, who is a writer and director and a producer. Michael, welcome back. Great to have you again.
Thank you very much, Robert. I'm really happy to be here.
It's great to have you back after our avant garde film discussion earlier this year, which I really enjoyed. But now we're
Thank you.
diving into our first film review together on the show, and we're doing The Piano Teacher today. I'll just read a brief synopsis. Erica Kohut, a sexually repressed piano teacher living with her domineering mother, meets a young man who starts romantically pursuing her. This was directed by Michael Haneke. He also wrote the screenplay, and it stars Isabelle Huppert, Annie Girardot, and Benoit Magimel. I think that's how you say that. Magimel?
No, it's Magimel, but it's okay.
Okay, I was close. My French pronunciation needs. Luckily, we have a Frenchman here to help us out. Do you remember the first time you saw this and what you initially thought?
So basically, I saw the film in theaters, and we're talking about 24 years ago, and I was completely shocked.
Mm.
I have heard about Haneke before because of Funny Games, but this one completely blew me away, and yeah, I was like most people. You have to also remember that 25 years ago, people had a different level of sensibility when it comes to this kind of works. But I do remember being not only inspired by the drama, that I remember saying to my friends that this is a new playwright, a new drama, a new way of interpreting drama, and this is like an avant-garde drama
Mm.
because he really pushes you, And so, yeah. Well, what about you? You remember when you saw it the first time?
I think it's definitely sometime in the last decade because I love Isabelle Huppert. I mean, she's God, she's incredible in this movie. I mean, it's amazing because on the one hand, she has such a neutral, cold expression, but and she which brings so much mystery to her performances. But then just the slightest reaction she has to me, that they just speak volumes. Like just the subtlest reactions tell so much. So but we'll certainly get into more of her performance. But it's been, yeah, definitely in the last decade, and I was initially just sort of, it's something you got to see more than once to really invest in, because the first time is so disturbing, at
Correct.
least for me, and it was hard to take some of those scenes. But then, so I liked it, but I was sort of, it threw me. I was like, wow, that's hard to watch. It's really tough to watch this transgressive film. And then when I saw it again just last week, because I already knew what to expect, and I can really lean into the relationships and the dynamics and the characters. I've grown to really really love it. And when I was taking my notes earlier, I was like, okay, first thing I usually ask myself is, what is this about? And I sort of drew a blank because it's so complex. It doesn't just, he doesn't simplify anything. He leaves, it's an ambiguous ending. It's got a lot of questions, I find. And so, on the one hand, is it an exploration of someone who has masochistic tendencies, and so she can't find it's hard to find someone that shares those sexual desires, perhaps. And then on the flip side, how do you then, maybe if you find someone with those desires, how do you find love among um people? I mean, I don't know about it, again, 24 years ago it was probably different. I don't know if there were communities of, like, I think now there's like a community, maybe there's like online communities where people can like meet people if they're looking for someone with these kind of sexual desires. But I don't 25 years ago, you could see how she kept it to herself, was my impression. But there's so much to unpack here. But what are just some of the things that you take from it? Like, what do you think this what Haneke was exploring here?
Well, you have to remember one thing that this is an adaptation
Yes.
from a book by Elfriede Jelinek,
Yeah.
and I've read the book, and if the film is shocking, the book is 10 times more shocking. So I can only imagine what went through her head, because you have to remember that this is a book written by a woman
Yeah.
about basic. To me, is about control.
Right.
And when there is control, there's no empathy, and when there's no empathy, there's no love. That's why sociopathic people cannot be loving.
Point. Yeah.
Right? So, so in this case, is she's a failure as a pianist, right? That's why she became a teacher. Second, she has to deal with her mom, who not only controls her but abuse her
Yeah.
openly. I mean, how many dresses she had to destroy to get it? That's one. The relationship is absolutely toxic,
Yeah.
and then she thinks that she found someone that can relay that control and that abuse that her mom is doing to her, which is the case played by Magimel, which is absolutely well done, because Magimel at that time, he was very young. We're
Yeah.
talking about half of his age,
Yeah.
right? And Huppert she's an unbelievably detailed actress by the level of microaggressions and registries of control and tension. I don't know if you've seen The Ceremony by Chabrol.
You know what? I haven't. I've been meaning to, but I
Oh,
haven't.
yeah, that's a couple notches down below the piano teacher. But the piano teacher is like, you cannot be more evil and more controlling and more damage to a degree because the control is so much detailed, and the sex becomes even secondary, because
Yeah.
that's where she starts, slash, cutting herself,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And first is the hand, the arms, and then it's down below.
Yeah.
And down below is a very disturbing scene,
Really. Yeah.
because that
Very
that
much.
that is the most disturbing thing,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, but that's the level of anxiety, of unbelievably, without any empathy at all. You have to be a sociopath to do that, where there's no emotion at all with whatever you're doing.
Well, I like what you're saying. That I mean, yeah, because you're right. In the sense, so much about the film is about control and her need to control herself and her need to control this man once she eventually gives in to him, but it's really on her own terms. So she doesn't truly give in. She feels the attraction and she knows that he likes her, and she feels attracted to him. But you see that it's a famous image as well of the two of them kissing in the bathroom, and then very quickly she stops the kissing. She tells him exactly what to do, and she will not give that up, and this is part of the problem. But I like the way, I like that he doesn't tell you why she's like this. It's sort of, he just makes suggestions, and to me it was from the relationship with the mother, because her mother treats her like a child. She's like, she comes home
Right.
like the woman's in her 40s. She comes home late and she's like scolding her, hitting her. I mean, it's quite, like you were saying, toxic and violent, and so you get this impression that she had violence in her life on some level, and this has also made her want to control every aspect of her life now. And then, of course, that really disturbing scene later is when he basically rejects her. She she shows him all those sex toys that she has and in her bedroom, and she's, and then again, the performance is amazing. The tears down her eyes, because to me she was so afraid that he was going to reject her, and she's really telling him who she is in that moment, and hoping that he'll accept her and embrace her. And he walks away, and then she jumps on her mother, and not only that, they sleep in the same bed, and she's kissing her, and it's like, what is she trying, like, is she, I love you, mother? To me, it was like there was so much going on there. Like, on the one hand, um it's like a child who's wounded looking for their mother to protect them, and then on the other hand, it's this sexuality that she's coming out of her, that she's putting towards her mother. So whether she was sexually abused, physically abused, is really what's strongly suggested there. I was that your impression of what may have?
Yeah, yes. No, the other thing is that the relationship goes from being super bitter and toxic to very loving within seconds.
Quickly, yeah.
Quickly. And then there's forgive me, mother, forgive me, and I wish things could be different. But in reality, it's a very toxic game.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Right. Yeah. But this is also part of the characters basically drawing, because, as you probably know, the classical music world is a very strict world.
Yes.
It's extremely strict, which is perfect for a character that is about control, right? So what I find interesting is that there are several scenes where she's teaching him how to play Schubert, which is the ultimate romantic composer. And imagine a romantic tone coming from a very, very controlling, toxic woman teaching a poor guy who is sincerely interested, but who's not as pretty much fucked up as her. So it's this idea that what you're playing is the future love that we might never actually get in the first place.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah.
Right. But it's very interesting because Haneke has always been very anti-music for the film. It's always a diegetic film, diegetic music, meaning music that has been created within the scene, right? Not for the scene. Right. And that is obviously a huge respect for him, because he understands that, music is more powerful than cinema, right? But going back to that, the obsession of the description of her world, the same way that she goes to a porno movie theater, and watches all these things, that is the ultimate power trip, because you're not with anyone. You are within your universe of self-control. It's all about you.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that is quite remarkable is that all the characters are always coming in and coming out, either entering a room or entering an apartment or entering the theater, that's why it's so powerful that at the end, we'll talk about that later, but at the end, she leaves that, and that's her final premise before doing what she did. But let's go back into more details about the character, because the character is absolutely fascinating. Because is full of psychology, full of repression, full of details that only Isabelle Huppert was. Nobody could have played that better than her.
No, not at all. But that's interesting what you were saying about, that's true. The coming and going out of root is that ongoing motif. I mean, why do you think it must have been but you're right. Now that I think about it, you always see that. He doesn't.
Yes, always. Always. So
what do you think that was about?
I don't know, but to me, as an spectator, it could be that she's entering one world and she's entering a different world, right?
Right. I see.
You can even see it from the first scene on the movie. She's opening the door for the first. That's the first scene. So she's entering a world. That's where the mother says, "Where are you? Where are you?" They start fighting. And actually, by the way, the interesting thing about that first scene is that the first fight that they have, they are fighting in complete darkness,
Yes.
which I give kudos to the cinematographer and to Haneke to craft that because they go from the dark into the light, but
Right.
the light is still very toxic, man.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point because even once Walter is in the apartment, he's in her bedroom, but and the mother is outside knocking on the door, and they barricade the room so that the mother can't get in. But you're right, it's like the mother being in the other room is not just another room; it's a different world because
Right.
this world inside is her, sharing all of these desires with with being abused and hit in this S&M style, or even like the washroom scene, her mother's in the other room and calling out to her, and her mother has no idea what she's doing, like she's in a totally different that's a really interesting observation. But yeah, no, she's a fascinating character. It's interesting because you were saying that she did you say you found something evil within her? That's because
Well, no, not evil, but it's a very dark story,
for sure.
and I find, but at the same time, it's. I mean, people are always saying, "Oh, you should, be careful about those films." But I think these films are extremely important
Yeah.
because they're really talking about us and how sick we are as a society, and that's why at the time that the movie was pretty much 10 to 15 years ahead of its time,
Yeah.
same way as Funny Games, because Funny Games is basically an open critique to American media,
Right. Right.
right? But in this case is the description of the darkness of a woman.
Mm.
I personally don't think that there are films that could not be made today, and I don't think these could be made today. The other day, I was when you remind me of this invitation, um, I sort of did a quick run on YouTube, and I found this video about comparing the pianist with a taxi driver, meaning the
Oh.
pianist is basically a stem cell, and the taxi driver is an incel,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? And I find this obviously this is someone that is quite young because these terms are usually related to the new psychology about incels
Yes.
and people who are absolutely lonely and become crazy, and that's why it's so fascinating that because to a degree I don't know what is your opinion, but in cinephile circles, Haneke is rarely talked because they I don't know why. For some people, he comes across as very pretentious, but I personally am a huge fan of him. I think he's truly an avant-garde guy, the same way that Abel Ferrara was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But these guys are very unique that make people really uncomfortable, you know.
Yes.
And but this is drama. This is pure drama. This is the drama of right now or the next for the last, I don't know, 30 years. I mean, just imagine his first film was The Seventh Continent, which is basically an homage to nihilism. It
Mm.
doesn't, it doesn't get more dark than that. And
Yeah.
this is 1989, right?
Yeah.
So just imagine the piano teacher with a French actress going, because to a degree that was a breakthrough for a lot of for Haneke in an international scale. You
Yes.
know,
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, yeah, I don't see his name often discussed. I think, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his films, but the ones I've seen I've really liked, and because they're so challenging, even though they're disturbing, but they have so much value to them. I feel because they're so. I mean, I'm always interested in these transgressive relationships, because they're so unusual, but yet they are people's reality, right? It's a reality that exists. And that's that I was watching an interview with him on the Criterion channel, about this film, and that's what he said. Like he's those things that are not. I'm not quoting him directly, but things that are not sort of typical behavior is what interests him. You know, he's interested in those transgressive relationships, and they make fascinating character studies because we're all, at least for me, you're watching and asking yourself what what's motivating this and where does it come from, and it's really stimulating, even to the point where she was jealous of when Walter was playing with her student. And at first she starts to cry as she's watching, and I thought, why is she crying? And then she takes the glass and puts it in her pocket.
Yeah.
And then the poor, I was like, oh my god, like this woman who you didn't get a sense that she was violent in that sense, like maybe violence against herself. But I was shocked, even though I forgot about that scene, and watching it again, I thought, oh my god, like not only is it, hey, you're hanging out with my this guy I like kind of thing, but
Right.
not only is it like I'm gonna hurt you, but I'm gonna scratch up your hand so you can't play this poor woman who was a
Yeah,
young
you can
girl.
play with my man.
Exactly. And I was really shocked by that. And Haneke said in the interview, he said that audiences could take it any way he wanted, but he thought that young girl, because you see scenes with her and her mother,
Right.
he said that relationship was to him was what the Isabelle Huppert and her mother, the character's mother, what they were like when she was younger. Because he
Right.
said instead of showing that, he wanted to use two different characters that would have resembled it. And you
That's
see,
a
like
genius.
the mother seems to be controlling of the young girl, directing her about what to do. Um, and I thought, yeah, this was probably her as a young piano student and having tough teachers and having a mother tell her what to do every step of the way. I mean, did you also see it that way with those two other characters?
I saw that too, but I also thought about the level of bitterness that people have when they don't reach their goals and they have to do something else to survive. That's
Mm,
one. Second, it's all about control. It's don't touch my man, and I will do whatever it takes. But the lecture that you're saying is it also came to my mind because it's literally a reproduction of her being a young kid,
yeah,
right? And but at the same time, that's why the piano teacher, as an idea of an homage to control and to that, could not be other profession because the level of being strict, the level, the concentration, and the level of control that you have to have,
yeah,
and the level of, yeah, that's why I think there's a scene where the mother says, "Well, you could have been somebody, or you could have been, well, not exactly that one, but you could have been successful, but you didn't, and you look like a bum." And she, but it's all this idea. Actually, we do have to mention that the performance of the mother is incredible too,
oh, I love her, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I think all the besides obviously the dialogue, but all the physical work and the performance itself, it's you truly believe that it's the mother,
yeah.
and that's huge. I mean, she's a super well seasoned actress.
Oh, I love her. I mean, one of my favorite movies is Rocco and His Brothers
Oh well, there you go.
with her, which is one of my favorite, which is such a masterpiece. I don't think I've seen her in anything else. I'll have to seek her work out.
Yes, you have to. I don't remember any titles right now, top of my head, because of the heat. But yes.
Toronto Heat for anyone
Oh
outside
my
of
God,
Toronto. We're both in
I'm
Toronto.
living.
I'm spoiling as we do this.
Oh my God, yes. You're almost naked here.
From the waist down only. No one can see.
Exactly.
But you know what I thought was interesting with if we look at Walter is that he's that guy, he's pretty confident to have, I mean he's not even really a pianist. He just plays really, really well. and he's only interested
Yeah.
in getting in this class so he can meet her, get to know her more. And he's bold to go to this woman who everyone's afraid of, and she's this tough teacher. You know, other people, when they're auditioning, they come out crying after auditioning for her because she's so tough. And he's not intimidated by her. He's super confident. He seems like a decent guy. But then when we see that scene in the washroom when she's trying to control him, he says something really nasty, you know, and then there's just an element there. I thought, ooh, you know, there's got to be something in him that would then later have resulted in him, you know, what that it's which is so horrible to even say, you know, when he the rape scene and when he beats her up, even though some of those things are on the list of what she gave him, these are the things you can do to me. But he takes it to the extreme, and I could help but wonder how did he, you know, where does that come from in him? I mean, I know that she was driving him insane because, you know, she was controlling him, trying to control everything so much. But you have to ask yourself at the same time, you know, where did that come from in him? It's mysterious, you know. I mean, there's something we don't know anything about his backstory, but other than he's like, hey, if you want this, here it is, you know, boom, and he just kind of snaps. You know, I don't know if you had any
Um,
takes on his psychology there.
well, you have to remember that is this idea that when a man, this is also a cultural thing because a lot of French guys, and I don't want to generalize, but if you like a girl, you will do whatever it takes to do it, including, you know, taking a class in piano, even though you have never touched a piano, kind of thing, just to be with her. But sooner than later, he realized that she's beyond fucked up, you
Oh,
know. But yeah, but at the same time, we don't need to know anything from the beginning,
right.
besides the
No.
fact that he wants, because he's basically driven by desire,
Yeah.
and Isabelle Huppert is driven by, I mean, Erica is driven by control,
Right.
right?
Oh, interesting.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, because she wants to inflict control just the same way that her mother inflict control on her,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
That's the thing, and he's coming from a desire point of view because this is the fictional part. Because when you see her, she's not exactly the super attractive woman that will stop the traffic, because she's a teacher, a piano teacher, right? Which is usually, especially in her look, she has a very traditional, classic look of a teacher, and
Yeah.
that's not usually a sex bomb or
Right.
come and do me now kind of thing, you know. So it's interesting. Why would he be interested in a woman like that? Probably because she's older than him, and
Yeah.
that's the only possible desire fantasy driven idea that I can come up with in that context, right? Uh, and try to go for it, and the mystery of the feelings, the mystery of love. You know,
Right.
why we fall in love? It's always mysterious, right?
Right. It's almost like her these qualities she had like spread to him, you know, and then he just it's he snaps and he takes it much further. Um, you know, which is really sort of fascinated by him as well because he's much more mysterious in a lot of ways than she is. Um, and then you know what I when I was watching the interview with Haneke, I never even realized that that scene after he plays hockey in the back room, which is like so beautifully acted by both of them, you know, particularly her because I think she realized that she loved him and she can't keep doing this, controlling him, and so she again bares her soul and it's such I mean that was a really messed up scene as well. You know, from when she was throwing up and they're having sex on the ground and everything, and then he pushes her. Oh my God. But that it was done in one take in 7 minutes. And for some reason I didn't even notice. And apparently Haneke was saying that they had to do it over and over again because it was really hard to get right. And then they
Absolutely.
finally got it, and they noticed that someone on the crew was in the shot. was in the
Yeah.
background, got caught on.
I've seen that interview.
It's
Yes.
like apparently they all flipped. I don't blame them. I don't blame
Yeah. Exactly.
but they finally got it. But my heart went out to her because even though she's deeply flawed in a lot of ways, like Hubert does plays her so well that you feel completely for her. You feel so bad for her.
Absolutely.
Um, Particularly what the way what he does later, the beating her up and everything, and then to have gone to that, the very last scene, to have gone to the recital that she was playing at and to have just said hello to her so casually. I just thought, man, this, he's you end up hating this guy. At least I did. It's really barbaric the way he acted, and and that, I'm still sort of asking myself, the when she puts the knife in her shoulder, is that a suicide attempt, or is that just, again, her rage and just a spontaneous moment? I mean, I don't think it was that. I think she somewhat planned it, but
Well, before we enter the last scene, let me just mention something that I think it's important about that 7 minute
oh, sure, go ahead.
um, uh, sequence shot is the fact that, I mean, when you see somebody making playing hockey and being all sweaty and disgusting and smelly, I mean, you really want to be crazy in love to try to make a sexual desire move on somebody who is basically coming all sweaty and disgusting. But
Yeah,
that's also the level of the character drawing. I
right,
mean, how crazy you have to be to achieve those things, right? And the things that he did in the end are the things that normal people would have done it once you know that she's beyond repairable. Maybe you would have thought about it, but not did it because this is in the end a fictional character,
right.
right? But so many people, I'm sure, that wishes to have done this, but didn't do it because it's not normal. And this is obviously a film. Now, to me, that last scene with the knife is a masterpiece of not only direction from Haneke, but performance, because it involves 3 steps. Because actually, it involves 5 steps. She's leaving the concerto's place. We follow her. That's one. So the camera approaches in a middle shot to a medium close up, and then we see her face
Yeah,
doing the ultimate control. That I don't. My lecture is I need to kill myself. This is the end for me. But that face of the end, they did that 47 times,
yes, God.
right? So
You
just
said it's like it was
imagine.
like to look like a dead horse, right? Like you wanted her to look like
Correct.
a dead
Yes.
horse. Yeah.
And yeah, and not only she had to have the right facial expression, but at the same time, when she does the stabbing, she has to stab herself exactly at the point where the protection of the receiving stabbing is,
Right.
right? But but the performance after 47 or 45 takes is just mind blowing,
Yeah.
because and that's step number 4, and then she leaves, so
Yeah.
you don't know if she's dying or not, right?
Yeah.
Because she leaves, and as a typical Haneke fashion, he always closes his, well, not always, but there's at least cachet that it ends in the same way, which is with a master shot, and you don't know where the action is,
Right.
right? Because if you see, have you seen cachet?
Yes, I did. I did see Cachet.
I
Yeah.
did. Well, at the end, there's a whole controversy about what happened at the end, because you don't know if, because you see the kids coming, and but you don't know, because that's a powerful
Yeah.
meditation on a master shot, and a closing ending of a story in such a powerful way. Now, in this case, she leaves the concerto place, and he remains in the concerto place until she's out of frame, and then suddenly you see the credits rolling. It's just unbelievably powerful. You're like, you gasp, man, because
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I
And
know.
yeah, this is
It's his shots, it's they ask questions, right? It's like he's not feeding you the answer. Like, is it a suicide attempt? Is it I saw it more as just because she inflicts pain on herself, like all that rage and that she had in her and hurt feelings, it just came out in another self-inflicted wound, and then she's out of there. Um,
correct.
is it because
It could be
Haneke
that.
says, she evolves, but she doesn't evolve in the way that is positive, which is often the arcs we see in movies. Like, it's a positive arc. In this case, it's a horrible. It's she evolves, but her evolution shatters her, and she's already quite troubled, right? With which is it's powerful stuff. I mean, it's really, really, it's absolutely brilliant. I also like that when earlier in the film that she scolded her student who she caught looking at nude magazines at that store. And I just thought, I think she was talking about herself. She called him a pig, but like, for what he doesn't know is that she does those same things.
Right. Well, that's the ultimate hypocrisy of the moralist.
Right.
Right. Now, you also have to remember that there's no happy endings. This is a European film.
Mm, of course.
Right?
No happy. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go to a European film thinking for instead of buying therapy. This is yeah, exactly. This is there's no happy endings, and
No.
obviously this is a cliche, but this is very. You can tell that it's an art house, that it's intellectual, and also it's very dark, and people are afraid of dark subjects.
Yeah.
In literature, in music, in art in general, people don't want to deal with it. That's what drama is for, and
Yes.
that's why when people say, "Oh, it's very disturbing," and then I say, "Yeah, that is inspiring to me." To me, I go and see these films to be happy, to
Right.
experience, and that's probably what
Me too.
Haneke wants, instead of like that famous scene from Casablanca, where he says, "Oh, I don't want to see a Berman film. I don't want to get
Right.
depressed."
I don't want to get depressed.
Exactly.
Like,
Right now,
faces.
to me, I go and see a Berman film to make me feel good about myself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To think that art is meaningful and it's powerful, and I should get going with this stuff.
Yeah. I'm the same way. That's exactly it. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it, Piano Teacher? I think I had everything I wanted to say.
Okay, well, no, the only thing is, go to your audience, try to watch it if you've never seen it, and or try to comment on Robert's podcast in this case,
Yeah.
because it's a fascinating film.
Yeah.
Is probably one of the best films ever made, and we should all talk about Haneke again. I mean, Amour is
Sure.
another masterpiece. So yeah, that's thank you for the invitation, Rob, and
Oh, my
yeah.
pleasure. It was great to have you back so soon. If people want to follow what you're working on, Mikel, where can they go?
Well, they can just Google me, michelguillen.com. That's my site. Or Michel Guillen Cinema at Instagram, or just Google me and you'll find a way to either see my work or talk to me. And soon there will be a Wikipedia page so they can read a little bit more about myself.
Great. Fantastic. And I will leave the links in the description box below for where you can follow Mikel, check out his website, and follow him on social media. So, Mikel, thanks again. It's great to have you, and
Thank you, Rob.
we'll have you back sometime soon for sure.
Anytime, my brother. Take it easy.
And thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank all of my members on Patreon. If you're interested in becoming a member of my Patreon, head over to the link, patreon.com/Robert Bellissimo at the movies for full details. You can also leave a donation, or what I call a tip, by clicking the thanks link, which you will find directly below the video frame. Just click on that and you can leave a donation if you choose to. Of course, I would greatly appreciate that. And lastly, if this is your first time here, please consider subscribing. It is absolutely free to do so. By pressing the Robert Bellissimo at the Movie logo, you will see it floating above my head in the top left corner to your top left. In just a second, just click on that. And then click the bell in order to get a notification every time I release one of my new videos. I would also really appreciate if you leave a comment, share the video, like the video. All of these things create traction onto my YouTube channel and really help share the video far and wide and the channel in general. So thank you so much for doing that, and I will see you all in the next one.